Welcome to Petology, your one-stop information spot for all things fuzzy, fury, feathery, and scaly. I'm your host, Blair Malestravich, and throughout the course of the show, we'll have expert guests ready to answer your pet questions. But that's not all. We also have great pet demos showing you owners out there how it's done. And to do just that, here is Sammy Mar of Smart Dogs. Sammy, make your way out here.
Hey,
Who's
Blair.
this?
This is Capone, and he's a one-year-old pit bull.
So what are you going to be showing us today?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about kind of two styles of training. We typically refer to them as old school and new school. So the old school style of training is using corrective measures, so using prong collars, choke chains, physically manipulating a dog, pushing down on them, forcing them to do things. The positive reinforcement way of training is acknowledging what the dog is doing right. So when they do a behavior you want, Capone, sit, and then giving him a treat really gives him encouragement to continue doing that behavior. So when using the old school training, it puts a lot of stress on a dog. You can see how he right now is like, what do you want me to do next? What do you want me to do next? If I was screaming at him and yanking on him and manipulating him every time he got up, he wouldn't want to do things. But with positive reinforcement training, he wants to learn, he wants to do the next trick.
See, in that way, that's very much like humans. We definitely react to positive reinforcement instead of negative reinforcement. Yeah. Some people might try it, but positive is definitely the way to go.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the, sadly there are people who still are involved in the old school way of doing it. What are some of the negative effects it can have on animals?
Well, like I said, it definitely keeps a dog from trying. It can definitely cause anxiety and stress. It can hurt a dog, so it can cause dogs to be shy, and even bringing out things such as aggression, because finally the dog goes, you know what, you've been forcing me to do something for so long, or yelling at me, that eventually they just say, hey, leave me alone, human.
So let's go through some of the very basic things, and well, you can show us a little more of that positive reinforcement, and then we'll get to some pretty snazzy things, so I'm excited about that. But let's just do the basics to start.
So the basics is I always use treats, and I call that, this is the dog's paycheck, right?
Okay.
So if they're getting a paycheck, they want to keep working. I love my job, I'm sure you love your job, but the paycheck is a good bonus. So if I want Capone to sit, I'm going to take a really yummy treat, put it above his head, and get his butt down, and as soon as it goes down, give him the treat. So again, it's treat to the nose, straight back, and he gets the cookie, right? Say we want to teach him to down. I'm going to take the treat, and I'm going to bring it down with him, and as soon as he hits the ground, I'm going to give him that treat. So right to his nose and bringing him down like that. So those are just a few very basic things, and you can also take it a bit further into the trick part where, say, an easy trick, teaching your dog to spin in a circle, taking that treat, putting it to the nose, and turning him in a circle.
Oh, nice.
And they get to do something kind of fun. Right? He likes it. Good boy, right? And you can see he wants to do this. This is a one-year-old dog that I've only had for a few months, rescue. And with all the distractions, he's choosing to be here because I'm giving him his paycheck, giving him a reason.
All these lights, all these people here, tails still wagging, excited, and focused
happy
on you.
Yes.
Definitely, and ready to learn. Now, this is just one example of the many dogs, of course, you work with. A year ago, we were actually able to pay a visit to Smart Dogs.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at that story.
Ready? Lexi, go hop.
A dog lover helping out our furry friends.
Hey, good girl.
It may look like fun and games, but these dogs are in therapy.
Good boy.
Sammy Mar is the owner of Smart Dogs, a rehabilitation and training facility at Rough House Boarding Kennel in Toulon, Manitoba.
Yeah.
A large group gathering like this is a crucial step to a dog's development or rehabilitation. It's all about socialization.
When dogs are not exposed to other dogs, people, and situations, they can become fearful or aggressive in those situations when they're older, and that's what makes an unsafe dog.
The facility also does one-on-one training for obedience or behavioral issues like aggression, possession, separation anxiety, and fear. Growing up around all types of animals, Sammy started training dogs at 18 and by 20 made it a career. Now in her 30s, she can't help but smile when talking about connecting with the dogs.
When you're trying to teach the dog something and you see that dog's face light up and they go, aha, this is what you want me to do, whether it's teaching them a trick or teaching them not to jump on a person or not to bark at something or not to be afraid of something.
Good girl, Mara.
Sammy partners with local rescues in the province for Rehab for Rescues, working with dogs that can't go into foster care.
Good girl,
she tackles their issues with the hopes of giving the dog a chance to be adopted. Sammy does everything in her power to save a canine companion from euthanization, but accepts the reality that comes with her profession.
Down. Sometimes people are trying to save a dog when really that dog is not safe. That dog is going to hurt another dog, another person. Dogs that are constantly feeling that they need to bite and growl and be aggressive are not happy in their own mind. So sometimes we are giving those dogs a peace by allowing them to humanely be euthanized.
Many of the dogs you see here were scheduled to be euthanized. Sammy reminds owners it takes a lot of hard work and time to help and teach a dog new behavior.
We need to give dogs a chance to learn our customs and our language and what we want them to learn to do. So we definitely have to have the patience and the understanding so they can learn to communicate in our way.
To learn more about Sammy Mar Assessment Rehabilitation Training or Smart Dogs, check out their Facebook page or roughhouse.ca. For Go Winnipeg, I'm Blair Malstravich. Now it's time for our guest experts to answer some audience questions. On our expert panel today, we have trainer and behaviorist Sammy Mar. She's been training dogs professionally for 12 years, learning from some of the best trainers in the world, studied at the Companion Animal Science Institute as a member of the Association of Professional Dog Trainers and the Professional Pet Guild, works with dogs who have aggression, fear, possession, and other behavioral issues. And then next to her, we have Dr. Colleen Omoro. Graduated with her degree in veterinary medicine in 1977, opened an animal hospital in 1981, which she owned and operated until 2005. In 2003, she became a fellow of the Academy of Veterinary Dentistry, and in 2005, a diplomat of the American Veterinary Dental College. And she has lectured in the United States, Canada, Brazil, and has published several articles. Thank you guys for joining me today. That's a lot of expert experience we have right here. I almost couldn't even get through it all. But let's see what we got from some of our viewers. We're going to look, we have a magical screen over here that you guys can't see at home, but we're going to read this email from Marion. Now, you guys can take your turns, decide who wants to answer, but let's just go through this one. So it says, I'm looking for a dog, and I am from a household with me and my female friend and no kids. We are looking for a dog that is friendly and loving. We were thinking of a pup dash hound. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Good. We want a puppy. Any suggestions for new dog owners and what we should ask for? Do you want to take this one, Sammy?
Sure, absolutely. Sure. I think that the biggest things is all dogs are individuals, just like people are. So when selecting a dog just because you're getting a pug, who are great dogs, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get those characteristics, or if you get a lab, you know. So I always say meet the individual dog, see what that puppy is about. If you're looking for a puppy, there's a ton of rescues here in Manitoba that have puppies that are already in foster homes that are learning kennel training and house training and to sit and down. So you can go out, meet the pup, check out their personality, and get the dog that's right for you.
Perfect. Now I think we're going to hit a voicemail. Let's hear this one. This is a voicemail from Cameron.
Hi there. This message is in regard to your upcoming pet call-in show. I've got a question that hopefully you guys can address. My 3-year-old female Labrador has a real food quirk. She sometimes eats fine, and randomly she will completely stop eating. I think it's because we have been feeding her with another dog, our older black lab, who has often stole her food. He'll finish his bowl of food, then he'll grab hers, despite her trying to protect her food, and he'll scarf down all of her meal. So it's given her real kind of bizarre eating habits. Like she's protective over her food, no issues with people or anything, but with other dogs anywhere nearby, she's very, very protective. And a lot of times she'll just stand over it and guard it, waiting for this imminent threat, but she won't actually eat anything. We've started to try and feed them separately, and that seems to be helping, but she will only eat in certain places at certain times, just very specific, and it's just unusual, particularly for a Labrador. So I guess my question is just what can we do in addition to feeding them separately to try and get her back on a normal twice a day eating regime. she's definitely hungry. She'll most times eat when she gets very hungry, but it's just well, if nothing else, it's just kind of a pain. So it would be, anyway, I'm going on here, but it would just be helpful to any tips you can provide to address this would be awesome. Thanks. Bye.
All right, we got lots of details there, so that helps. So do you want to start this one, Doctor?
Well, it's probably a behavioral
Well, I think
question,
there's
but
two sides.
I would suggest that he does feed separately and that he does have the food down for a certain amount of time, and then he picks the food up and the dog doesn't see the food again until the next feeding time to try to get her into a proper habit of eating. If he's concerned that there's anxiety that she's feeling, there definitely are other things that we can pull into play there in the way of anti-anxiety drugs, behavior modification, which our expert behavioral specialist here is going to be able to comment on, and that's kind of where I would approach it.
We'll let you take a crack. Go ahead.
I agree 100% with her. One of the biggest things is not leaving the food down. I personally believe that as long as a dog is not sick or in pain, if they're hungry, they will eat. If they're choosing not to eat, they're simply not hungry. And sometimes we think, well, they haven't eaten for 2 days. Well, they might not be hungry, and if they've always have access to that food, that can be why they're not eating. And also having the food out can cause that anxiety. Like the viewer was saying, that she'll stand there and guard it. By leaving it out, you're actually causing that anxiety where she needs to protect the food from the other dog. So I think feeding them separately, putting the food down, take it away.
I'm like that at the dinner table sometimes. When there's something I want to eat, but I don't eat it right away, I got to protect it from everybody else.
Exactly.
So let's move on to our email from Jen. It says, I have 2 4-year-old cats, a brother and sister who were rescued from the side of the road. The brother is more social and is more likely to come hang around and cuddle with us. The sister is very anxious and won't often socialize. How can I make her feel more comfortable with spending time with us? Go ahead,
My
Sammy.
answer is feel away. I think she can talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, using pheromones can sometimes help, such as the feel away that you suggested.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this sounds like an amazing thing. I have no idea what this is, so you're going to have to...
It's our secret.
Yeah, let us know your secret tips. What's that?
Sometimes it's effective and sometimes it isn't effective. Like it's not a guarantee that if you use a pheromone that it will help to calm the situation down, but it's something that you can try, just like you can try things like lavender and such like that. But sometimes if they are anxious and they're dealing with a certain level of anxiety, again, using some drugs to help reduce their anxiety levels can be really helpful to the animal.
That's fascinating.
It's got to be pretty painful for an animal to live with mental illness, just like it is for us to live with mental illness. So I think that, you know, there are definitely behavior modifications that someone like your behavioral person here is going to be really helpful, and using in conjunction with drugs to help reduce that anxiety level and change that serotonin level in the brain.
Okay, that's great. I didn't even know that existed. So see, I'm learning already. We're only like 5 minutes in and I'm already learning. So let's start. The next one is an email from Ross. Can dogs choke on toys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've probably removed some of these things and seen the horror stories. So take it away.
It's buyer beware market out there, and you don't want to buy things that are inappropriate for your pet to have to chew on. We removed a handle from a water gun that was about this big in a Mastiff. It was unbelievable how that dog swallowed that and kept it down. But it is buyer beware. You have to be careful what you give your pet, that it isn't something that it can swallow and hurt, become obstructed with. And also to make sure that it's an appropriate chew toy for their teeth. Mm-hmm. So this is where I guess I'll come from at this point. Things that are really hard that can break teeth shouldn't be given to dogs. So really hard products that you can buy, you have to be careful. Again, it's buyer beware. deer antlers, cow hoofs, pig ears, things like that, can all be something that they can ingest and get abstracted from, or they can break teeth, in which case you're looking at extracting the tooth or a root canal on the tooth. It's quite painful for the animal. So it's just like with babies. With your babies, you have to be careful what you give them, what they put in their mouth, and it's the same with our pets.
Now, what's interesting is, like, when I only recently became a pet owner in, I would say, November, I believe. Now, when I go into any pet store and I see these chew toys and I see these kinds of things, there's a lot out there. Like, it's hard. Like, you really have to, like you said, you have to, it's buyer beware. You have to be educated, and I was like, I don't understand like what you have to ask, right? Like, you need to know the right questions. You need to know a lot about your dog. So let's move on to the next question, which was, I think we have a message coming down right now.
Hi there. I was calling to leave a question for Petology. My name is Jordy, and I am interested in finding out what to do when my cat has bald patches on their legs. Is that from an allergy or a skin irritation? And are there any home remedies that I could do to help heal that? Thanks.
All right. Who wants to take this one?
I mean, it's difficult to make a diagnosis without examining the patient and without being able to do any kind of tests to rule out things like mites and fungal infections and such like that. But it definitely can be allergy related, and it can be boredom related. A lot of times we don't play with our cats, and they should have some play time, exercise time, something to enrich their environment. I'm sure you would have lots to say about that one.
I mean, I can't speak so much for cats, but in dogs, I see a lot of dogs that lick out of stress and boredom. Mm-hmm. That's a huge one. So I always say, you know, giving more mental stimulation, playing with your dog, exercise, interactive games, that can help. But like she said, I think bringing it in for an actual examination to rule out anything medical is crucial.
And a great thing you could talk about is also, like, we just wanted to say that, of course, this is just a panel here. With this, we're just having a discussion. If you have any serious concerns, obviously visit your vet or your trainer just to figure out exactly what you want. We'll be back with more questions later in the show. If you'd like to have your question answered, send your questions to createtv@shaw.ca or leave a voicemail on our Shaw line, 204-480-3500. Still more Petology coming your way after the short break. Because we have to change a bunch of stuff.